Hey guys, welcome back. Could you imagine taking a weight loss drug? And of all things, could you imagine actually gaining weight while on the drug? Today's YouTuber is CJ Landry, and the name of her video is Huge Regrets. I gained weight on the weight loss shot, Zepbound. I hope you guys enjoy.
For those of you who don't know, I have been on my weight loss journey seriously since June of last year, so June of 2023. I lost about 20 pounds, 25 pounds, and then my doctor put me on the weight loss shot, Zepbound, at 2.5 milligrams, which is the starting dose. I am finishing up month 3. I'm getting ready to take my very first shot for month 4. And I always weigh myself the morning of the shot, and I haven't done that in a couple of weeks because I wanted to be like out of sight, out of mind type thing, you know? Like if I don't see it, then it's not actually happening. And the it that I'm talking about is the weight gain. So for the last couple of weeks, mostly for month 3, starting month 3, the 2.5 milligram just stopped working. So I went to my doctor toward the end of month 2, and he said, hey, your 2.5 is working great. Let's just go ahead and keep you on it for another couple months and we'll see what happens. And I was like, yeah, sure, great. Because I don't want to like max out on the meds way before, I lose what I need to lose. Unfortunately, it just stopped working for me. So what you get with the weight loss shot is you get that full filling, you get the slowing of your stomach, of your bowels, things like that. Like it takes a while. You also get a disconnect from that brain stomach thing. So like, or maybe it's a reconnect, I don't know. But like, so instead of just mindlessly just like shoving food in my mouth, I actually don't have that desire, that reflex to do that. That was my big thing. That's how I got as big as I did. That and just not exercising, not doing anything. I haven't been doing good. And be honest with you, I have not been doing good. To keep myself accountable, I use an app called MyFitnessPal, and I'll toss a link down there in the bottom if you're curious about it. And I track my calories every day religiously without fail until a couple of weeks ago. And one day I just, for whatever reason, I got busy, I got sidetracked, I forgot about it. I didn't log my food. And that one day kind of like snowballed into like 3 weeks.
I'm so glad that CJ mentioned that because that's the big thing that I'm into. I'm into the idea that if you walk each and every day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, maybe you can take Christmas off, right? But if you walk predominantly every day and don't have any days off, that's good because look what happens when you take one day off. It can snowball into 3 weeks, and you might be thinking, yeah, but Jesse, that doesn't happen for everybody. It does for everybody that falls off of a diet and exercise routine. It always happens that way. One day off becomes 3 days off, becomes 3 months off. If you agree and you've fallen off wagons before in this way, let me know down below.
I haven't been eating bad, but I haven't been eating well, and I haven't been tracking my calories, right? So I've been eating a lot more fast food. So like Subway, Chick-fil-A. I've gone to IHOP a couple times, but I always get their protein plant-based platter. But I know how this happened. I stopped tracking my weight or I stopped tracking my calories and wasn't doing anything extra as far as exercise go. Like I get a lot of steps in at work because I'm on my feet. I work on a warehouse 10 hours a day, 4 days a week. So I do get a lot of steps in. But after you do that for a while, it becomes your body gets used to it, and that becomes your base level.
All right, so let's talk about that because I have a big debate that I kind of have with venters sometimes. A lot of people believe because they have a warehouse job where they're walking throughout the day, and because they keep track of their steps and they hit a certain number of steps, right, that they're good. And then when they start gaining weight, they kind of say something like what CJ's saying, which is, well, my body kind of got used to that. And if you don't go above and beyond, I don't believe any of that. What I believe that happens is when you're at work, you take 25 steps to the end of the hall, you take a piss, and then you take 25 steps and you sit back at your desk for another hour. And for some reason, during the course of a day, you go to the bathroom so many times that you end up racking up quite a few steps to the point where it's borderline impressive. But it almost never helps anybody lose weight. The real way to lose weight is to take your lunch break and go take a walk around the building 3, 4, 5 times until your lunch break is over. Before you go and get in your car to go to work in the morning, take a half-hour walk with your buddy Jesse. And in 90 days, 180 days, 365 days, whatever it takes, you'll actually start to lose weight. When you go on these medications and you don't put in the hard work, you're really doing a disservice to yourself, because there might be a time where you don't have that job and you don't have that insurance and you will no longer be able to afford that medication. You got to take it seriously from day one. No offense, CJ.
Calorie loss, right? And then you have to go above and beyond that, to get the actual weight loss started again, right? The same as if you eat the same thing for weeks at a time and then you plateau with your weight loss, you have to change up what you're eating, right? So tell your body, hey, we're not eating this anymore. We're gonna do something else. So let's, get back to work, right? So it's been the two biggest things is I have not been tracking my calories and I have not been doing any extra exercise, and I'm really mad at myself about it. But yet at the same time, I'm in this, I don't know, like liminal space where I still have a month left of this shot on a 2.5 before I see my doctor again to get an increase, and I have gained 7 pounds, which on a weight loss shot is excessive, but I haven't weighed myself. I haven't tracked my calories. I haven't been eating well. I haven't been doing extra exercise rather. And I gained 7 pounds.
Those commercials for these weight loss drugs, they're really good at selling you on getting onto them. Because the reality is if you put through the effort, you might not need those drugs. CJ is so nice and such a fun YouTuber that I can't be mad at her. But I think she knows deep down she needs to change her thought process on this and start putting through a little bit more effort. So let's go to CJ's channel. Let's subscribe to her content. Leave her comments. Let her know that we believe in her and she can do it. And I believe in you guys as well. I think that something out there that's really simple that can change everyone's life that's watching this video is to take a daily walk. But I need you to do it for at least 2 or 3 weeks with me so it can actually become part of your daily routine. So if today's the first day that you're watching, go get your shoes. Let's go for a walk. Good morning, Venters. My gosh, the sky is just beautiful this morning, and the sun is temporarily behind clouds, so it feels really, really comfortable out here. Again, it's going to be hot this week, but it's going to be like 109, 110, which again sounds horrific. But last week it was like 115, 116. And by the way, 78 straight days in Arizona of 100-degree temperatures or higher. The other day I finished editing. Check this out. It was 1:45 and I looked on my computer and it said that it was 94 degrees outside. So again, even at nighttime, it's like 92, 93. it does cool down at 2 or 3 in the morning to the point where it's like 84, something like that. But very, 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 very warm. It's amazing how you can get so used to 115 degree temperatures that when it does hit 94 degrees, it almost feels cool outside, So very, very intense. Speaking of intense, I heard in LA they had a 4.4 earthquake, and they were showing some videos of it. I don't know how I would react to the world moving. I've been to California half dozen times in my life. Every time I went, we never experienced an earthquake. And I'm glad for that, because even though you would think you would like to experience something like that in your life, I don't think that's one of those things I want to experience. I don't know what it's like to feel your house shaking and the ground and everything with it shaking. I think that would be scary as all heck. What do you guys think? Have any of you ever experienced an earthquake? Have any of you guys actually ever experienced a really strong, very bad earthquake? Let me know. I know that in some parts of the world, when there's an earthquake, it can kind of trigger tsunami warnings and stuff. If there's one thing that I don't want to see, even more than an earthquake, it's a tsunami. I remember, 10, 15 years ago, when they would show these devastating tsunamis around the world. Oh my God. I forget the country that it happened. Was it Bangladesh or something? But either way, there was a bunch of really powerful tsunamis that happened around, 10, 15 years ago, that were famous ones that they were showing on TV and stuff, where resorts were being wiped out. Oh my God, that just looks like end of the world stuff. Speaking of end of the world stuff, I don't know if you guys heard, but it sounds like over the past handful of days, the Ukrainians have actually went into Russia to start a little bit of a scuffle and take over some land in Russia. And this is kind of an embarrassing situation, I assume, for Russia. But beyond being embarrassing, if I was in Russia, I would be a little freaked out because, America, I believe, covers 5 or 6 time zones if you include Hawaii and Alaska in the equation, right? But Russia, I think, the last time I remember doing a little bit of a study on it, I believe Russia encompasses like 11 time zones. So just extremely huge country. So imagine if a foreign entity had taken over a piece of Maine or a piece of Washington State or a piece of Arizona or a piece of Florida. That's kind of what's happening with this Ukraine and Russia thing. Now, from what I understand, they're only in to Russia a handful of miles, right? Maybe 15, 20 kilometers or whatever the heck it is, right? But still, if I was in America, which I am, and I heard that another country had taken over a small little sliver of Florida, I would find that very worrisome. So is Ukraine going to take over Russia? No, probably not. They're probably going to be expelled any day now, right? But still, that is kind of an embarrassing thing. I believe the Ukraine is about the size of Texas. Every time we see a map, it's some weird distorted map, so it's really hard for me to get a grasp on how big these areas are that they're fighting in. But I'd imagine that because they share such a long border, there's a situation where Ukraine can attack Russia. And it kind of brings up strategy points. If someone's attacking your country like crazy, maybe a good way to slow them down is to attack them somewhere like crazy. They say that a great defense is a good offense, right? If you don't know how to defend yourself, one of the best ways to fight is to just be aggressive and start attacking the person that's attacking you. And I know that that's probably easier said than done, but that goes back to that situation where if somebody attacks you, sometimes your best defense is just to go crazy on them and attack back. Because one of the things I've noticed when they show people getting attacked by strangers usually it's one of those things where the people being attacked try to reason with the stranger. I don't think you can reason with strangers, you know? So sometimes you just got to kind of say, you know what, I'm either going to run and take off, or I'm going to go ahead and fight this person. And I think sometimes when it comes to crazy people, I think a lot of times the sane people in the world try to reason with folks. I think sometimes you got to throw reasoning out of the equation. As a matter of fact, I don't know about you guys, but imagine if every time a bad guy tried to attack or tried to do something, imagine if they were counterattacked. I bet you we'd have a lot less bad guys in the world. I'm telling you, you bad people out there, not the venters, but just bad people in general, you guys are the most lucky people in the world. You're simply lucky that you've been messing with people that haven't necessarily had the ability to mess back with you. But remember, that's another reason why we walk. I don't know about you guys, but every time I watch something on TV where they show like an elderly man or woman and they're attacked by a thug, right? Maybe it's so that they can steal their purse. Maybe it's just one of these games that young people play where they knock people out. Do you guys remember that game they were playing about 5-10 years ago where young people would literally walk up to strangers and just punch them in the face and try to knock them out? We have a lot of weird situations like that. If you're in your 40s like I am, if you're in your 50s or 60s, or heck, even if you're in your mid-30s, I think it's super important. And tell me if you guys agree. I think it is super important that you try to make yourself as healthy as you can. If you're in a grocery store and all of a sudden gunshots start firing, you might need to get your running shoes on and get the heck out of that store, right? If something happens where a child is walking towards the street, and when I say a child, I'm talking a little baby or toddler. If you have a situation where they're literally out there getting ready to enter the street and there's cars coming, you've got to be able to sprint. You know, I don't know if you guys have ever thought about that, but when it comes to your personal health, whether it be push-ups, whether it be walking, whether it be just trying to eat better, you want to put yourself in a situation where, God forbid, if you ever have to bust out a little athleticism, you want to make sure that you can. I mean, I don't know about you, but wouldn't it be horrible to see some neighbor's toddler on the edge of the sidewalk getting ready to walk into a bad situation? Wouldn't it be great if you were at your best athletically so that you could actually give that kid a fighting chance by getting out there before he or she makes it to the street? You know? And it's funny because the last video I did was kind of about tough love. The girl wants to go to Cuba to visit her dad, but other than her dad, her aunt and her mom and her cousins, they all kind of poke fun and make comments about her weight. You want to know something? Sometimes you want to be in the best shape you can because you never know if you're going to have to bust out athleticism. And by the way, I've had that situation before where I've had to run out and not catch a baby going into the street, but I have had to catch a wayward puppy or dog, you know? Haven't we all had those situations where all of a sudden a puppy takes off and they don't know any better, they're running across the street and stuff? Those puppies will run right into a vehicle as it's moving and hurt themselves. And if you can get to a point where you can be your best, you might be able to prevent some of those things from happening. And I don't think that's a bad thing to say. I think that's actually a good positive topic. Because if you think about it, the world's not always going to have a bad guy ready to attack you. If there is that situation, you want to be at your best, sure. But the reality is there's a million other reasons why you want to be in good health, you know? If you're ever in a situation where your house is on fire and you got to wake up and get your ass out of the house and help others get out of the house, man, you want to be at your best. So again, sometimes there's a million reasons to walk, and it's not necessarily weight related. Sometimes you just got to get to the point where you can move on any given notice and get the heck out of this world. I hope you guys are having a beautiful day. It always amazes me how the weekend comes, the weekend goes pretty darn quick, right? But then before you know it, it's hump day, happy hump day, right? And before you know it, you're ready to enjoy another weekend. I've been hearing a lot on YouTube about layoffs. And I've been hearing that it's taking people literally hundreds, and in some cases, thousands of resumes and dozens of interviews before people are able to get a job again. And I find that really, really scary, because a lot of times people don't realize how bad the job market is until they're pushed into it. So again, we've had this conversation before. When you have a fight at work, and I mean a verbal fight, not a physical fight, but when you have a verbal fight with the Dales and the Karens of the world at work, yeah, there's an aspect of mental health where if you absolutely have to, get out of that job, right? But if it's just an uncomfortable situation, you probably want to find another job before you quit. Because I'll tell you what, if you quit, in other words, you leap before you look, and before you have another job, that can equate to you being in a super uncomfortable situation. You ever hear these situations where people are starting to live in their car? When people live in their car and start to shower at their gym, like Planet Fitness, right? You might tell yourself, God, what an ingenious way to save money and get back on your feet. And it might be ingenious, but at the same time, it's not a good deal. You don't want that stuff to happen. And it's actually a bad situation because, again, you have your job right now, everything's hunky-dory. You don't think anything's wrong with the job market. But if tomorrow or next week you're without a job and you have to go a year and a half before you find another one, holy moly, don't necessarily quit your job. Don't leap unless you have another job to leap to. Holy moly, it's starting to get warm now that sun came out. Good morning. How are you?
Good. Yourself?
Good, good. Have a nice walk. So that guy, whether I see him or not, I think we can both agree, or all agree, he's a trooper. He's out here walking every single day. You know, it's funny, I look at him, and I'm just guessing age-wise, he's probably in his late 50s, maybe even late 60s, right? He's in that little 10-year window of 55 to 65 probably. So he's definitely one of those guys that he doesn't look horribly overweight. He could probably ditch walking. But you know what? I have a feeling he enjoys his morning walk. And I have a feeling when he goes and does his lab work with his doctor every year or so, I would be very surprised if he didn't have pretty decent, lab work. So let's talk about my last 12 hours or so. I stopped eating last night, not at 7:30. It was probably closer to 8:15ish, but still. After 8:15, I was up till about midnight without eating, drinking water and unsweetened tea, okay? I wake up this morning, get my shoes on, get ready to go outside, start my walk. When I get in, if I'm starving, I'll eat oatmeal. Again, I have an advantage because I've been regularly eating oatmeal. I don't really get hungry in the morning. That's why I wish you guys would try the oatmeal. I think some of you think, God, this is already miserable. I don't want to try the oatmeal. But if you try the oatmeal, you'll find that the misery subsides quickly. There's something that oatmeal does to the body. It fuels the body, helps you take a crap regularly, right? Which is important for a lot of people. God, I've been regular my whole life, and I think it's because of oatmeal and walking and drinking a lot of water. So again, I would recommend that to anybody. And if you are more regular than you were and you're not embarrassed about sharing it, maybe let us know. But here's the point that I was making. If you can eat oatmeal with me for breakfast for this last month, you will quickly notice, and when I say quickly, I mean 3, 4, 5 days, you will quickly notice that your morning grumblings to be fed will cease, because your brain will quickly learn all I have to look forward to is boring ass oatmeal. And trust me, boring ass oatmeal, your brain will get over that desire very quickly. So I saw that lady the other day working on her yard. I don't know how her grass grows so quickly when she's constantly cutting it, and when there's, I don't know, usually things grow slower in the summer. Or at least you would think they would. So anyway, back to what I was saying, I really think that oatmeal, water, the 7:30 rule, banana smoothies, I think those are things that if people actually tried them instead of listening to them, I think they would work. So let's see if your boy can hypnotize you. I want you to hear my words. I want you to let them go in one ear, and I want them to get stuck at the other. Whenever you hear me say words are going to go in one ear and get stuck in the other, that's me talking to your brain more so than you. And I want your brain to realize that if you can start making 7:30 your last meal of the day and not eating after that point, and if you can wake up in the morning and try to get your walking shoes on, go for your walk before you eat. And when you come back, even though there's a piece of you that wants to cut a banana and some blueberries and a little bit of sugar, cease that just for this last month. You have to trust me. What I want you to do is I want you to eat one packet of oatmeal. If after that packet of oatmeal you're still hungry, I want you to bust out a second packet of oatmeal. And what we're going to do is we're going to baby step off from 2 packets of oatmeal down to 1. And within 3 or 4 days, your brain, your body, your mind, and your soul is gonna literally be over your morning cravings. And it's not magic, it's the power of oatmeal. Look at what happens when water is added to oatmeal. You can even do this. Put some water in your oatmeal. You're gonna find out that it slowly but surely expands. If your doctor is okay with you having Metamucil, have a glass of Metamucil in the morning. As you let the Metamucil sit there, you'll notice it forms a gel and it starts to expand. When you get that Metamucil in your stomach, and again, some people are allergic to that, to Metamucil, make sure your doctor's okay with it, okay? And what you're gonna notice is that pretty soon you're like, hey, this Metamucil's cheating, Jesse. It tastes like orange juice. Yeah, I suppose, Bob, but the main thing is it's gonna keep you regular. It's gonna fill up your stomach, and you're gonna start to feel like, wow, when you combine these tips, it really does make things easier, okay? So I know that we have a handful of people that are joining me with the oatmeal. If you could, let me know in the comments, does the oatmeal suck? Is it not as bad as you thought it would be? Are you getting used to plain, boring oatmeal, Lily? You know, if this is something that's becoming easier for you to do, are you starting to notice that when you eat oatmeal, it feels more like fuel than food? Because ultimately, you got to remember, food is our fuel. Do you want your fuel to be Snicker bars and donuts? Yeah, kind of. But the reality is, oatmeal is a much better fuel. Now, some people are against oatmeal because of, for whatever reason, I don't really understand it. I don't really think we need to be against any particular food, right? So if you're a vegetarian, I understand where you're coming from. You want to live an extra 9 years more than people that are non-vegetarians. That's wonderful. Good luck. Keep it going. Don't stop. If you fall off that wagon, jump right back on. Because let's be honest, vegetarians live 9 years longer than the rest of the people. Is it easy to be a vegetarian? No. But the reality is, if you live a vegetarian life, you're going to be rewarded, hopefully with a couple more years. But even if that's the case, you still need to walk so that during those extra 5, 6, 10 years that you're alive, you can be active. Remember, whenever you extend your life by 5 or 10 years, you're technically extending it at the end, the miserable years. So you don't want to be like my grandma, where the last 5, 6, 7 years, she couldn't even get out of bed on her own. You want to keep your legs strong. If I could have done one thing different when I was married and kind of ignoring my family, and again, this is impossible to do, but if I could go back in a time machine and do this, I would have tried to come to my grandmother's house every night just to see if I could talk her into taking a walk with me. And if I could go back even further to when I was a little boy and growing up with her, and I was in things like soccer and football, and we would do weightlifting and we would do calisthenics, I would have tried to talk my grandmother into doing some leg lunges and squats for me, because her brain was very, very good up until she hit about 92 or 93, and then she started getting real foggy. But her legs gave way a couple of years even before that. So she had one of these adulthoods where when she was in the really elderly moments of her life, she could barely move. Now, some people have bad arthritis. Some people get that genetically speaking, right? In my grandma's case, it was an atrophying of the muscles. She literally got to the point where she had a hard time moving one leg in front of the other. And I don't want that to happen to anybody. I want you to live a long time, but I want you to have the ability to walk that whole time. So if my grandma would have left this earth at age 90, she would have never noticed all these physical problems, right? So it would have been a miraculous 90 years of perfect health. But her last 8 years or so, those were kind of miserable. Why did she live so long? Because I'm telling you, this woman ate menudo. This woman ate poor every day. She had Snickers and donuts till the day she died. Why did she live so long? I think it was her attitude. She had a go with the flow attitude. She had a way of not harboring anger. When you harbor anger and rage and you get mad at everybody and you have a growl in your voice, I think you're poisoning yourself. I'm just as guilty. Sometimes I will have a growl in my voice. Sometimes I won't be in the best of moods. But that's once again one of the reasons why I walk. Because I too have to deal with Dale and Karen's at work. And when you deal with those people and you take a walk and you can keep things in perspective, it keeps you from flying off the handle and resigning. And again, this is a unique little piece of the world that we're in right now. Because normally you resign, you put your resume out there and you find a new job in a couple of days or a couple of weeks, right? But from what I'm hearing, and you can't just stick your head in the sand and ignore this, and maybe you guys have heard this too, and maybe you guys have family members affected by this. What I'm hearing is that when people become unemployed, they put their resume out, and in some cases, they have been denied a job by thousands of employers. Now, I don't know about you, but if you have 4, 5, 6 months of savings, and you're thinking, hey, I'm safe, I can go ahead and quit my job, you are safe for 4, 5, or 6 months. But if it takes you 8, 9, or 10 months to get a job, I'm very scared for you. So again, sometimes we have to really make shitty decisions. Is your mental health important? Yes. And if your physical and mental health are in jeopardy, get out of your job. But at the same time, look at the pros, look at the cons, put your resume out there, try to find another job before you lose the current one. And if you are in that situation, I pray for you, venters, because I want you to be happy and healthy. And remember, if you lose your job and get another job, you don't exactly know in advance what the hours are going to be. The last thing we want to do is ruin your walking routine. We need this walking routine. So I want you to listen to me when I'm talking to you. This last month, do it for me, venters. If you've never eaten oatmeal and you've really enjoyed walking with me, you enjoy the water, you enjoy avoiding sugar, just for fun, join me. Let's all take this plain oatmeal challenge. Do it with me and Lily, and I think Rochelle or somebody else is doing it. I forget the other person that's doing it, but join us. There should be more than 3 of us eating plain oatmeal. Eat it with me for 3 or 4 days and tell me if by the 4th day your morning stomach grumblings are a thing of the past. And remember, you venters are appreciated and loved very, very much. So again, have a wonderful day. Get yourself a Walk Talk Vent t-shirt, and I will talk to you guys later. Thank you for joining me. Walk extra if you can.